Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. Continuing again with chapter 21, Al-Anbiya, the prophets. And as we proceed, and as we want to understand why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is talking to us about the prophets. And all the time, the prophets were the messengers, the people who Allah sent with signs, with proofs that He exists, proofs that what we're supposed to do, the guidance which came with them, how we're supposed to follow them, everything pertaining to how we can save ourselves from the hellfire. So within that book, a lot of warnings, a lot of warnings, a lot of warnings. You have to follow the way of the messengers, the way of the prophets, and after the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ message has been revealed, that's the only available route, the only available way if you want to go to the paradise. Simple as it is. Very simple, very straightforward. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He in ayah number or verse number 45, here says, I have, Qul, He's telling to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, tell them that He is warning them with the inspiration, with the wahi, which means that the wahi was the angel Gabriel, the Gabriel alayhi salam, or Gabriel, the angel who comes down with the Quran to the Prophet. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا يَسْمِعُ الصُّمَّ الدُّعَاء إِذَا مَا يُنذَرُونَ. And indeed, this Quran will not gonna be able to make the people understand. They are not gonna hear it. They'll try to find any excuse not to listen to it, not to pay attention to it, not to even implement it. Not even, or also it can be, there's certain degrees. Some people listen to the Quran, but they don't understand it. So when they don't understand it, how you expect they're gonna act upon it? Some people listen to the Quran, understand it, but ignore its teaching. They cannot implement it in their life. They cannot implement it in their treatment to others. And they cannot implement it in their home. They cannot implement it in their workplace. They cannot implement it inside the places of worship. And that's it in itself is useless. It's not just like, okay, you understand it, but how you're going to apply it? Because the most important thing is the application, the practical test. And that is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. A lot of people, they can hear, but they're deaf because of any of those things we discussed. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, listen to the Quran. In a nutshell, listen to the Quran. Adhere to its teachings. Follow the messenger. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَئِن مَسَّتْهُمْ نَفْحًا. If I give you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, if He will punish the people with just a small bit of punishment, they can't even withstand it. They cannot bear it. They cannot even, it's just going to be so much, just a little bit, from the hellfire of the hereafter, or even on earth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just the coronavirus existed for maybe a year. It shut down everything. People were like wearing masks. People cannot even talk. A father cannot visit his kids. Kids couldn't go to visit their families. Everything is just disrupted on earth. And that was just a small. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, believe in this day. Believe in the message of the Quran. Believe in the day of judgment. And because it's a little bit of punishment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will regret it. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. وَنَضَعُ الْمَوَازِينَ الْقِسْطِ لِيَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala turned to the day of judgment. And He's saying that in that day of judgment, He has already the structure, the framework for perfect justice. Perfect justice. How is that, Ya Allah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had done the rules for that day. For example, everybody, number one, you have a due process. In any court of law, there is prosecutor, there is defense. You have a defense, okay, you can defend yourself. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will let everybody, that's why throughout the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is bringing the statements out of the mouth of the wrongdoers. They're blaming, they're saying, oh, this and that, and they're trying to save themselves. So there is a due process. Number two, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this life, He made sure that you understand and know what is the message of the Quran. What is the message of the Quran? What is what is the right book? What is the right textbook? Which is the Quran. How you're supposed to handle the Quran? How you're supposed to learn from the Quran? What all the questions comes in people's mind, He will answer them for you. And after all of this, you will have a choice to make. Either become a Muslim, obey Allah, obey Prophet Muhammad, ﷺ, or it's up to you. You want to disbelieve, you want to deny the truth, you want to be adamant, you want to be hard-headed, it's up to you. It's up to the person. That's what that is called the mawazin al-haq. And the same thing happens. Sometimes you will see in this life, the court will give you warning. Warning after warning. First offense, you won't get much of a penalty. But after that, if you keep repeating being, an offender, what's going to happen? It'll take you for a long time. There's going to be long time judgment. They take you in jail for a long time, in prison for a long time. So, warnings, God is going to keep sending you warnings. God is going to try to send you warnings after a warning. So He'll make sure that you understand. And it still is going to be up to you. You're going to keep making the same offense? Or you will going to say, oh, I'm not doing anything? There's surveillance cameras everywhere. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have made it. So at the end, He's collecting evidence too. So be careful. Everybody has to be careful because we're living right now very close to the end times. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said that also in the hereafter, when He put all these rules for the judgment in the hereafter, He said also that judgment will be public. It won't be in private. Because in the private judgment or a secret trial, nobody knew anything. It's not public. So everything will be public. So everybody will have the chance to see what's going on. And then, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, this is going to happen at the day of judgment. فَلَا تُظْلَمُ نَفْسٌ شَيْئًا. Indeed, every soul will not going to be even unjustly treated. Everything you do good will be taken into account. And by the same token, everything you do bad will be taken into account too. Even a small piece or a small atom of a mustard seed of an action, it will be taken into account. You give somebody a date, you smile, any of those actions you will be rewarded for. Or on the other hand, if you do bad, treating people in a disrespectful way, you treating people unjustly, so on, everything will be taken into account. وَكَفَى بِنَا حَاسِبِينَ. Indeed, enough that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the judge. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator of the heaven and earth, Allah is a what? He is a judge. He said, I am the just judge. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is turning to Musa alayhi salam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us an example of the revelations. So He said that I give revelations. From the major revelations He gave is the Torah at the time of Musa. وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا مُوسَى وَهَارُونَ. So He's saying these are going to be the guidelines for the time, for the people who lived at that time. The people who lived at the time of Moses alayhi salam, and after, until Jesus have came. And after Isa, whoever lived at that time has to believe in Isa and the teaching of Isa or Jesus. And from Jesus until Muhammad. The teaching of Jesus, the teaching of the Christianity, the true Christianity, which Isa has came to preach. True Christianity. Just one God. That Jesus is a prophet, is a messenger of God. Then, until that, at the time of Muhammad comes, alayhi salatu wasalam, everybody will be judged according to the Quran and the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is bringing up the criteria. قَدْ أَتَيْنَا Musa. We have brought Musa, we have given Moses and Harun, Aaron. Al-Furqan, the Torah, the Old Testament, which has laws. Any law, what's the law does? The law basically does some kind of differentiation between what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do, between what's good, what's bad. Here there is a fine, there is a penalty. This is good, so on and so forth. So Al-Furqan, differentiate. The word Furqan means to differentiate. And indeed, when you differentiate, when you have the ability to differentiate between good and bad, you'll have light. You'll have some kind of standards which you will be able to judge things with. وَذِكْرَى, and a reminder, because God knows that life has so many ups and downs, so many trials and tribulations, and people easily lose their way. So again, that's why God asks us to keep remembering Him. Remembering Him. Read the Quran, the final testament, because it reminds all the time about the day of judgment, about God and what God can do, and so on and so forth. وَذِكْرًا, reminder to those who fear Allah, who have got consciousness in their heart. الَّذِينَ يَخْشَوْنَ رَبَّهُمْ بِالْغَيْبِ, those who fear God. Those who fear God. Do you fear God? Without seeing Him, because you see the signs. All the signs are pointing towards one direction, that there is a creator for the heaven and earth, and He's testing us. And if He shows Himself, the test has no purpose. So they know that He exists, they know that He sees us, so that's why they're protecting themselves in front of public. So not just the people are doing good in front of others, no, also in secret, when nobody sees them. They're protecting. And this is what you see. Like a lot of preachers, a lot of people are talking about religion here and there. In front of the public, you see the saint, the highest God-fearing. And in public life, and in secret life or private life, he does all kind of sins. This is very, very clear right now. I mean, very, very common in our societies right now. وَهُمْ مِنَ السَّاعَةِ مُشْفِقُونَ. Indeed, when the day of judgment comes, and when the reminder of the day of judgment comes, they're very scared about it. Because they know, this is the accountability day. This is the day when everything will be audited. You'll be audited, and you'll be asked about every single thing you have done. وَهَذَا ذِكْرٌ مُبَارَكٌ أَنزَلْنَاهُ. Indeed, this Quran is also a beautiful reminder, which is blessed. What's the blessed mean? Means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that when you remember Allah with the Quran, when you remember the stories of the Prophet with the Quran, when you remember the teaching which you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do with the Quran, this is will put barakah, mean will put blessings in your life, in your rizq, in your sustenance. The money comes to you. They will put rizq, sustenance, increase in your kids, in terms of their future, in terms of their life, in terms of their behavior, in terms of their respect to you. Every single, it will basically change. If you take that Quran as your constitution of life and you apply it, it will make your life as if you're living in paradise on earth. أنزلناه, we have sent down, أفأنتم له منكرون. Are you still in denial? Are you still in denial of this book? With whatever it has from science, we said it has so many scientific miracles. So it has so many prediction of what is going to happen in the future, present, in the past. Very accurate. You still in doubt about the authenticity, the truthfulness of this book? أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه.